Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Veda and this is The Simple Budget. Here on my channel, I show you how my family uses the zero-based budgeting method in order to simplify our financial life. So if that sounds like content that you're interested in, I would love it if you would hit the subscribe button and join our little crew here. And with that, let's get into today's video. So you'll notice, maybe, that my filming setup is a little bit different today. And the reason for that is because Texas apparently doesn't own any salt. We had a very unexpected school closing today. My kids were given the day off quite last minute, despite the fact that we knew that this weather was coming. Our schools, our state, nobody is ever prepared for ice or snow in this state. It seems, it's baffling to me. I come from the East Coast where we get snow every now and then. It's not even like a regular occurrence, but we are still prepared for snow in the event that it happens. And I keep hearing how snow is not a thing that happens to North Texas. And yet all 3 winters that I've been here, we've had some sort of snow or freeze out. So I would super duper love it if the state would get its act together and maybe buy some salt to salt the roads. Anyway, that being said, the reason why I'm here right now on my little side table is because my usual filming space is my dining room and my kids are home from school, like I've mentioned, and it's easier for me to film where they don't have regular access to me because I would be hearing, "Mom, can I have a snack?" every 15 seconds, and so would you. So I'm taking this little corner of my room here in order to film this video because I wanted to make sure that it got up today. So as I mentioned in my last video, I am going to be going over in this video what my husband and I have done to prepare for our very first cash stuffing. We've not done any cash stuffing yet on this video. We've actually not done any cash stuffing at all because we've been spending the last couple of months preparing to get to this point. Our first cash stuffing paycheck is going to be this Friday. And so then my first cash stuffing will actually go up next Monday for you all. And I wanted to just kind of go over this with you because I think, you know, there's a lot of people who've been in this game for a really long time. They've been cash stuffing for a while. And I also think, and I think sometimes that can be intimidating. And so the reason why I titled this video, Learn with a Beginner, is because there are a lot of us who are just hearing about this and we're all starting from scratch. And so I thought it would be great to be able to document how we've gone about doing this and preparing for this, so that maybe somebody comes across this video who is new to this and maybe they're a little bit intimidated by cash stuffing, cash budgeting, zero-based budgeting. And this can serve as a resource just to kind of guide them into this whole world. So I'm going to be going over this little list that I created here and kind of just expanding on each detail a little bit because we all know I love a good chat. And just kind of going over with you guys how my husband and I have prepared for cash stuffing. Now, I want to preface this by saying everybody's financial situation is different. Everybody's circumstances are different. And this is the method that worked really well for us. And even though our budgets may be different, our salary is different, I think the basic outline of this is still something that can work well for everybody, regardless of your budget, regardless of your starting point, so that you can get stuck into doing this as well and hopefully setting yourself up for financial freedom. So I'm just going to go right in here. The number one thing that we did was to create a budget. We use the zero-based budgeting method, which means that every single dollar that we get paid has a plan, whether that's for the upcoming week or the upcoming month or the upcoming year, every dollar has a plan. So I always say, start with the bare bones. Sit down with a piece of paper and a pencil and figure out what your baseline expenses are for the month. So what are you going to be spending on your rent? What are you going to be spending on your electric? What are you going to be spending on your phone? What are you going to be spending on groceries? These are all things that you need to make sure that you're listing out so that you can get a picture of what your dollars can do for you. The next up is to address your debt if you have it. So your plan with your budget, with the bare bones, is just your bills and your expenses. Your debt is the very next thing that you need to list out, because if you have multiple sources of debt that are many different payments, you need to figure out what those minimum monthly payments are. And then if you're going to be utilizing the debt snowball method, you kind of have to come back to this after you do the next thing in the plan, which is to list potential sinking funds. So these are things that you are going to be spending money on maybe throughout the year. Think birthday parties, think holidays, vacations, things that you know are expenses that are going to come up throughout the year, but maybe they're not part of your monthly picture that you started with up here with your bare bones. So I'm going to use an analogy here. Dieting doesn't work. Dieting is this idea that we're limiting ourselves in order to lose a few pounds. What you need is a lifestyle change. And budgeting is much the same way. So you can't live your life, like if you're trying to get your financial life together, you can't live your financial life as if these sinking funds are not going to come up. Just like you can't live your life like dessert never exists, or, drinks with friends aren't going to happen. You can't live your life completely zeroing out all of the fun things that come up. Allow for some chocolate cake every now and then. And that's sort of the idea of sinking funds. These expenses are going to come up unless you're going like whole hog. I'm doing nothing fun for a year until I pay off my debt. We're not doing Christmas. We're not doing birthdays. We're not going on vacation. If that's your plan, this really isn't for you. But we're trying to redo our financial lifestyle, which means that now when we're looking at our budget, we're actually planning for these things in advance, knowing that they're coming, and maybe not putting as big of a payment toward our debt if we have some extra cash laying around as we could. But what we are doing is planning for Christmas that's coming up, that we know it's coming. So we're planning for that in advance. And so we're putting that money aside for it. So, and it's not going toward debt, but it is going toward an expense that we know is coming. And so that's what I mean here by, treat it like a lifestyle change. Treat it like you're going to eat the cake, and that's okay, because tomorrow you're going to just go back to your discipline. So, this is a very loose analogy, guys. Just roll with me. But planning for these potential sinking funds is a lot the same way. You know that these expenses are coming, and they're the dessert of your budget. They're not the bare bones. They're not the necessities. They're the extra fun things. But unless you're cutting them out completely, you do have to plan for them, which means that extra money that you're planning for these is not going to go toward your debt. And that's okay, because you're still being disciplined. You're still being diligent. You're still planning to erase your debt if you have it, while also building in the padding into your budget so that you're planning for these life events that come up that do take money that you would otherwise just say, oh, just swipe the credit card because I don't have the cash for that. Now you're building in the cash for that. The next thing is to look at your financial potential for the year. Now, what do I mean by this? You have to kind of look at a broad picture of what you're expecting financially to come up throughout the year. So are you in the type of job where you're getting paid biweekly and you will have a magic month? Just for those of you who don't know, a magic month paycheck is, for example, if we're paid biweekly, there are going to be 2 months a year where we actually get 3 paychecks a month. And if we're budgeting, if we're planning to fund our life with those first 2 paychecks that we've gotten that month, then that third paycheck is actually some free money that you can decide what to put toward that doesn't fall within the parameter of your normal budget. So this is what my husband and I are utilizing because we do want to do like a little mini vacation this year. And we also want to make sure that we're, paying down debt, and we're also addressing our sinking funds. And so what we've chosen to do by looking at our full year picture, and looking at what kind of magic month potential we have, we're going to be, because we're new and we don't have a lot of padding in any of our sinking fund envelopes, we're going to be taking some of our magic month money and putting it toward some of these sinking funds that we're not actually funding on a monthly basis. So vacation right now in our plan doesn't get a monthly stuffing because we have other priorities, but we did want to take a vacation this year. And so that's where looking at our financial potential for the year came in, because it really helped us say, okay, we actually have the money in these magic months to be able to put toward a vacation while also helping to pay down our debt. And that way it doesn't interfere with the other higher priority sinking funds like Christmas, which is a really high priority for us. We don't really do like a lot of like gifting or treats or anything for our kids throughout the year. And so Christmas is something that I really like to go kind of ham over. And so that's why we prioritize that in a monthly sinking fund plan. And that's really what necessitated taking a look at some of the other potential money that we had coming in for the year and kind of what we would do with that. So then step number 2, the budget is always the biggest, right? Like, it's like, this is creating the budget, looking at our potential, looking at what we have to throw our money at. This takes up a huge portion of your plan. This is going to really be the meat of how you figure out how you're going to go about this cash stuffing journey for yourself. Next up, I have on here to watch a variety of cash stuffers on YouTube and Instagram. I actually have found that this community, actually, let me back up for a second. I found out about cash stuffing because a random cash stuffing video was thrown into my YouTube algorithm. I had never heard of it before, and it didn't even make sense for why it popped up into my feed, because I don't even watch anything similar to this on YouTube. I watch a lot of like lifestyle vloggers and Judge Judy. Don't judge me. I really like Judge Judy. Anyway, so how this showed up in my algorithm, I will never know, but I'm super grateful for it. But anyway, so what I have found in the couple of months that I have been watching YouTubers, cash stuffing, zero-based budgeting YouTubers and folks on Instagram is I've actually kind of learned some tips and tricks along the way. And so it's actually been a great resource for myself and also my husband, because I am somewhat impulsive and I am either like really methodical about things or I just fly by the seat of my pants. And I think this was one of those things where he was like, oh no, is Veda serious? Or is this going to be another thing that she has an interest in and then loses it? And so it helped for him to kind of see how some of you were doing this so that he could get a broader picture of what we were going to be getting ourselves into. And there have been, I can't even tell you how many times, and this is why it's like, watch to the very end, guys, not only because it supports your favorite content creators, but also because I have learned so many little tidbits by YouTubers, especially, just kind of throwing out a phrase or just saying something that they do that has kind of altered my perspective, or it's given me a trick in moving forward with how I would go about implementing their idea in my own cash stuffing system. So this is actually an important step. It doesn't seem like it, but I think, you know, we all in the budgeting community here want everybody to live a debt-free, financially free life. And while these are fun to watch, and it's certainly like a little bit of ASMR, especially depending on who you watch, it's also a really great guidepost for figuring out how you can implement what other people are doing, what other cash stuffers and cash budgeters are doing into your own system to really streamline what you have going on and get you to where you're going faster. So that's why I have that listed here, because I actually think it's incredibly valuable. Number 3 is do your books every day, every few days. Sorry, not every day. Do your books every few days. And what I mean by this is, if you are doing this with a significant other or spouse or whatever, this has to be a teamwork oriented thing. And my husband and I literally meet every few days to go over all of the expenses that have happened over those last few days and itemize them, figure out what envelope they belong to make sure that we're staying on top of our budget. Now, this may seem excessive, maybe especially to those of you who've been doing this for a while, but I think that, well, this is a beginner's guide. But I think that it's super important for when you're implementing a new system to really stay on top of it every couple of days so that you can make sure that you're maximizing your effort and that you're not missing anything. Because one of the things that I always found overwhelming about budgeting was like we would like maybe not go over our books or our expenses or whatever for even like a week or 2 weeks. And then by the time you get to the 2 weeks, you're so overwhelmed by what it is. You don't pay attention to what you're spending. And so you don't have a plan for it. And you just kind of give up. Maybe I'm speaking just about myself here, but that's kind of my pattern. And so when we've been doing this, and it doesn't take long, it's literally like a 10 to 15 minute meeting where we like sit and have coffee and go over our budget, go over our expenses, map them out, figure out what envelopes they're coming out of, and then, you know, go about our day. It doesn't take long, but the discipline of doing that helps you stay on top of your budget so that you're not missing out on dollars, so that you're not overspending, because that's the big kicker here. And so that you can make sure that this system that you are implementing is actually working for you. The very last recommendation that I have, and I will speak to this, is to keep your system digital for 2 to 3 months. Now, maybe you don't utilize a digital system to begin with. Maybe you're just in a planner, or you have paper and pencil, or I don't know, maybe you have another method. My husband and I currently, and we will maintain that as well, even with cash stuffing. We do, we have an Excel, like a basic Excel document, and in it he lists, because my husband is the one who maintains the Excel document. He has listed every envelope, every bill, every expense. So we set up the system to reflect my cash envelope system. So all of my binders, he's got all of my envelopes within my binders listed in this Excel document, so that when an expense comes in to our bank account, when we do our books, he is like, okay, what is this $50 charge at Target? It's always Target, guys. It's always Target. He's like, what's this $50 expense at Target? And then because I've been being diligent about tracking my expenses, I can give him the breakdown. Okay, $5 of that was for birthday parties, $15 of it was for groceries, whatever. So we've been doing this, having these meetings every few days. I track expenses in the way that I will be tracking them for my cash budgeting system. And then he is just kind of going over everything that comes into our bank account, and we track it in this Excel document. And like I said, he is going to be continuing to do that even after the cash budgeting, after we start cash pulling, because we're not 100% cash stuffing. Our bills and things that come out automatically are going to just stay in our bank account, because we just think that it will work better for us that way. And so we are maintaining, I don't know, it's probably going to be like 60-40. I think our finances will be like 60% cash and 40% just online. But even still, we have been treating the digital system that we've been watching. Like, we've literally been doing this since December, like the beginning of December. We have been watching the budget. We've been tracking our expenses and treating it as if I'm going to be cash pulling these things. So we're just making sure that when we actually do start cash pulling, that this is going to work for us, because we can tweak the system a little bit since it's not being implemented just yet. We can figure out, okay, you know what, actually we're spending this much on household goods, so let's tweak the budget a little bit in this way. And you can still do this if you just decide to start cash pulling right away. I'm just telling you what we've done, because I think sometimes if you jump into a new system right away without giving it this 2 to 3 months of just like, okay, let's pretend like we're doing it, treat our budget and treat our financial system like we're doing this, but just keep the system that we're currently doing, whether that's, like I said, in a planner, or if it's, in an Excel spreadsheet, however you're doing it, maintain that for 2 to 3 months so that you can get a picture for what this will look like when you do actually start cash pulling. So that's the plan. So that is how we prepared for cash stuffing on this channel and just in our everyday lives as well. We've really zeroed in on a good budget that we think works for us. And I am still, I watch all of my cash stuffers on YouTube and Instagram anyway, because I like to throw support toward my girls who I watch on a regular basis. Even still, because that's a great little side hustle, and I love being able to support them in that way. We will still be doing our books every few days. I don't see that changing for us in the near future, because one, we actually kind of really like it. We like sitting down together and sipping on coffee, and there's something really satisfying about doing this together. But then also there's something really satisfying about knowing that when Christmas comes, none of that is going to go on a credit card. All of it has been planned for. And we get really excited whenever, the dollars and cents add up, and, we're staying in budget and we're actually making this plan work. So it's really fun for us to do that. And we are no longer going to be keeping our system digital. Digital exclusively, because like I said, this Friday's paycheck is our first February paycheck. And that's what we kind of set out as a goal for ourselves. So let's get to February, and that will be our first cash pulling and cash stuffing. So with that said, I hope you guys will return for that video next week, my very first cash stuffing video. And you'll get to see my February budget paycheck breakdown at that point also. So please let me know if you guys have any questions, if you want me to expand on anything. I'm happy to answer questions in the comments. I'm happy to answer comments. I love when you guys chat with me in the comments. Go ahead and give this video a like, a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, if you found it helpful. Like I said, please subscribe to my channel, and then I will see you guys next week in my very first cash stuffing video. Have a great day.